He was the smile that lit up the NBA, the showman who turned basketball into a spectacle, the king of Showtime, the heartbeat of the Lakers. The man who made no-look passes look like magic because, to the world, he was magic. But on November 7, 1991, that magic stopped the world in a press conference that stunned millions. A 32-year-old superstar stepped to the microphone and announced he was HIV-positive. Gasps echoed across America. Headlines spread faster than the news itself. And the question everyone whispered was the one he had to face alone. How does a kid from Lansing, Michigan, rise to become the most dazzling player of his generation, only to confront a diagnosis the world believed was a death sentence? This is the story of a man who conquered the NBA, transformed the game, and then, at the height of glory, was forced to battle fear, stigma, and the brutal weight of public judgment. A story of triumph, collapse, and a fight for survival far bigger than basketball. This is the untold journey of Magic Johnson, the legend who refused to disappear. Magic Johnson was born as Irvin Johnson, Jr. on August 14, 1959, in Lansing, Michigan, far from the bright lights he would one day command. His childhood unfolded in a modest, working-class neighborhood where survival demanded toughness, discipline, and grit. His father, Irvin Sr., worked long, punishing hours as a garbage collector and assembly line worker. His mother, Christine, juggled multiple jobs while keeping the household rooted in faith and responsibility. Money was tight, expectations were high, and lessons came early. Hard work wasn't optional. It was the only way forward. But Lansing in the 1960s was a place divided. Magic grew up surrounded by racial tension, violence, and a constant reminder that the world wasn't built to be fair. Walking to school could mean facing bullies or navigating fights in the streets. At home, the family struggled but stayed united. Outside, chaos carried its own harsh education. Through it all, one thing gave him refuge: a basketball at just 10 years old. He would wake up before sunrise, dribbling on cracked sidewalks while the city still slept. Neighbors began noticing the kid who never stopped practicing. And then came the moment that changed everything. At age 15, after a spectacular game, 36 points, 16 rebounds, 18 assists, a local sports writer gave him a nickname that would follow him forever. By the time Magic Johnson reached high school, he was no longer just a neighborhood prodigy. He was a phenomenon. At Everett High School, he dominated the court with a style nobody had seen before. A 6'9" point guard who moved like a guard, saw the floor like a general, and passed the ball as if he could bend time. College scouts circled him like hawks. But Magic chose to stay close to home, committing to Michigan State University, where he quickly became the soul of the Spartans. His charisma was infectious, his leadership undeniable. Crowds grew, cameras followed, and the nation began to notice the kid with the smile that seemed to glow under stadium lights. Then came the moment that would define a generation. The 1979 NCAA championship. Magic versus Larry Bird, the Spartans. vs. Indiana State, a rivalry so electric it would shape the NBA for a decade. Magic led Michigan State to victory, playing with confidence far beyond his years. Overnight, he was no longer a rising star, he was the star. The Los Angeles Lakers took notice. In 1979, they selected him as the No. 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. And just like that, the young man from Lansing stepped into Hollywood. Bright lights, big expectations, a franchise hungry for rebirth, and a rookie so talented that even legends whispered, he's going to change everything. When Magic Johnson arrived in Los Angeles, the city didn't just gain a basketball player, it gained an entertainer. A phenomenon, a force of nature. From his very first season, Magic electrified the NBA. As a rookie, he stepped into the 1980 NBA Finals with a confidence that stunned veterans. When Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went down with injury, the 20-year-old rookie did the unthinkable. He played every position on the court: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, even center. He scored 42 points. He led the Lakers to the championship. He won Finals MVP as a rookie. And overnight, a legend was born. Then came the era the world would never forget. Showtime, the Forum turned into a palace of lights and noise. Fast breaks blurred like fireworks. Crowds didn't just watch, they celebrated. And at the center of it all was Magic, orchestrating chaos with a smile that filled the arena. With Kareem, Worthy, and coach Pat Riley, Magic turned the Lakers into a dynasty. They won 5 NBA championships, dominated the 1980s, and created the most glamorous team the league had ever seen. Magic collected 3 MVP awards, became the face of American sports, signed massive endorsement deals, and transformed into a global icon. Off the court, his charisma made him a household name. Talk shows adored him. Magazines chased him. Hollywood embraced him. He wasn't just a champion. He was the man who made basketball fun again. But behind the lights and the victories, a storm quietly gathered. A storm that would one day shatter the world's brightest smile and test the strength of the man behind the magic. At the height of his fame, Magic Johnson looked untouchable. A global superstar. A 5-time champion. A cultural icon whose smile could fill arenas. But in the shadows of Showtime, a different story was unfolding, one that would reshape his life forever. Through the 1980s, Magic lived fast. Parties, fame, travel, and the endless temptations of Hollywood wrapped around him like a whirlwind. Later, he would openly admit to having multiple partners, saying he lived in a world where no one ever said no. The media adored the Lakers' glamour, but few understood the risks that came with it. Then came November 7, 1991, the day everything collapsed. Magic called a press conference. Reporters packed the room, expecting trade news or retirement rumors. Instead, the world froze as he spoke. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today. Shock echoed across America. Millions believed HIV was a death sentence. Confusion turned into fear, and fear turned into judgment. Rumors exploded. Headlines dissected his private life. Talk shows speculated. Some fans lost faith. And inside the NBA, tension rose to a breaking point. Several players whispered concerns about playing against him. Some went public, questioning whether the league should let him return. Karl Malone voiced doubts. Others followed. Old friends grew distant. Magic went from beloved hero to a symbol of controversy overnight. The backlash hit harder than any defender he had ever faced. He confronted stigma. Head-on rumors about how he contracted HIV. Misconceptions about transmission, waves of fear from fans who didn't understand the science. Sponsors hesitated. Journalists wrote with a tone that bordered on cruelty. News stations replayed his press conference on loop, framing him as a tragedy. Physically shaken, emotionally exhausted, Magic stepped back. He retired, watching the game he loved continue without him. The most charismatic man in sports found himself isolated, fighting a battle he never saw coming. And yet, in the middle of panic and rejection, something inside him hardened. He would not disappear. He would not be defined by scandal. He would rise again. In the months after his diagnosis, Magic Johnson faced a choice: fade into the shadows, or fight back. He chose to fight, instead of hiding. He stepped in front of cameras and used his fame to educate the world about HIV. At a time when the disease was still shrouded in fear and misinformation, he launched the Magic Johnson Foundation, dedicated to awareness, prevention, and support for those living with HIV/AIDS, especially in underserved Black communities. Slowly, the narrative around him began to shift. Magic was no longer just the face of Showtime. He became the face of resilience. He shattered stereotypes by returning to the 1992 NBA All-Star Game, earning All-Star MVP, proving to the world that HIV did not define his worth or his ability. He played with power, joy, and purpose, turning fear into admiration. Then came another evolution. Magic, the businessman. He built an empire: movie theaters, restaurants, partnerships with major brands, revitalizing neighborhoods that companies had ignored for decades. His success became a blueprint for Black entrepreneurship in America. Through transparency, discipline, and advocacy, he rebuilt his public image not as a fallen star, but as a survivor, a leader, and a symbol of hope. Magic hadn't just returned. He had transformed. Today, Magic Johnson stands as far more than a basketball legend. He is a symbol of courage, transformation, and unwavering determination. His influence reshaped the NBA, redefined what an athlete could become, and changed the world's perception of HIV forever. His impact lives in every no-look pass that inspires young players, every HIV awareness program that saves lives, and every underserved community uplifted by his businesses. Magic's legacy is not defined by championships, though he has plenty. It is defined by the battles he chose to fight when the world expected him to fall. He proved that a diagnosis is not destiny. That stigma can be defeated. That leadership is measured not by applause, but by the lives you uplift along the way. The journey of Magic Johnson is proof that greatness isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about rising above it. Again and again. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful Hollywood journeys on Stars and Scandals.